I'm joined today by Jasmine White, Washington College class of 2018. Jasmine earned a BS in biology while minoring in philosophy before going on to earn her Master's of Science in Athletic Training from Bridgewater College via our articulation agreement with that program. Jasmine, thanks for taking the time to speak with me. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I'm happy to be able to talk to you and kind of reach back into that WAC community.
So I understand you're now working with ATI Physical Therapy. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
Yeah, so initially I was an outreach athletic trainer. So basically, what that means is I got put into a high school that we have an agreement with. And then obviously, because of the pandemic, sports are kind of in and out right now. So I've been rotated to a what they call a rotational athletic trainer. And what that is basically we just help out in the clinics and do more clinic work and less sport emphasized things. But then I'll get moved back once we have sports again.
And so how does that work? Is that ATI is sort of contracted by high schools and then send out like a designated athletic trainer?
Yeah, so ATI has contracts within different counties. Sometimes they do it through the entire state, but yeah. So they have a contract with half of Anne Arundel County, so that's where I've been put into.
Okay. Now take us back. When did you first start to have an interest in athletic training? And then when did you know that that's what you wanted to do?
Uh, so that's a fun question. So I was an athlete, and in high school I got injured pretty badly with to my knee, and we didn't have athletic trainers when I was in high school. I went to a public school. It's just not something we had. It wasn't something that was thought about. So going kind of through that whole experience, I felt like having an athletic trainer would have been helpful, and just it kind of opened my eyes to the profession. And then as you go through college, we have athletic trainers and people there helping you with anything from a bruise to the big major things. And I just started wanting to become part of that process and helping other athletes. And specifically, I think at WAC is when I really realized it, because I had a bunch of nicks and bruises and just various injuries, and kind of getting to know the athletic training staff at WAC. It solidified that this is something I really want to do. I want to be helpful, and I love sports, so doing anything around sports obviously is awesome.
And then how'd you find your way to the program with Bridgewater?
So that's also a funny story. I was walking through the atrium one day, I think it was like a random afternoon, and Dr. Crockmall was talking about it. Got brought up, and he was talking about how he had just met with Dr. Barbara Long at Bridgewater about the program that they were building, and this articulation that was supposed to be forming and becoming a thing. And I said, "Oh, I would love to go into athletic training." And he was like, "Funny, I just talked to Dr. Long. We're building this thing." So he gave me all the information. And I looked into it, and I reached out to Dr. Long, and we talked. It was like maybe a 30-minute phone call, and immediately I was like, "This is the track I want to do." Especially because a lot of the prerequisites that we have at WAC don't necessarily match up to some of the other programs. But because Dr. Long had talked to Dr. Crockmall, and they explained our curriculum and how things fit, and even though it's, I don't know, organismal anatomy, it's still anatomy, and like that kind of connection made it almost possible for me not to have to take a gap year. So that's why I jumped at it.
And then how was your experience at Bridgewater?
It was tough. It was great. I loved it, but it was definitely tough. Um, Undergrad is one monster, and grad school is a whole other sort of thing. I think I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, um, and just how to really study and do research too. But no, I had a lot of fun. It was cool interacting with different teams. We got to do this whole other thing where the second year of your clinical rotations, you can do them offsite. So I moved back home and was able to do a clinical immersion at St. John's College High School. And then I got to do part of a clinical immersion at UMBC. So I got all kinds of wide different ranges of experiences.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, do you have any advice to give for a student considering a career in athletic training? Maybe the pros and cons, and any experience they should be trying to obtain while they're an undergraduate student?
Definitely reach out to the training staff, the athletic training staff, for sure, at WAC. I mean, I've always had a great experience. I know that people have come in and out and, you know, all those things, but definitely just reaching out and saying, "Hey, I'm interested." And I'm sure they'd be happy to let you come shadow a game or practice or kind of walk a week in their shoes type of thing, because that's what they did for me. And then just it's one of those things that you have to be really sure that you want to do it, because you're going to put so much time and effort into it, and it's so specific that to go through 2 years of a program and to come out of it and say, I don't really know if I want to do this. One, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, but there aren't that many other outlets for that degree because it's so specific. So definitely understanding, and also understanding that you're going to have to be able to network. And me being somebody who doesn't like public speaking, I learned really quickly that you got to get used to just talking to anybody. Um, that's definitely something that I think, even if you're not great at, you have to be open minded to.
Sure. How did you develop that skill? That like you said, you're hesitant with the public speaking. So, was there anything that you did to sort of push yourself?
Well, so my first clinical rotation was with football. And so that's a lot of people. It's a lot of different coaches. And I think that experience alone, you just kind of have to put yourself out there and think, okay, they don't know me. I don't know them. Both of us are probably uncomfortable anyway. So just diving head first into things kind of helped. And I think WAC kind of helped with that because of all the different things I kind of was involved in on campus. You just speak to so many different people and you create that comfortability. The other thing is that in our classes, we tend to do a lot of like question answer type of things. But just volunteering to speak in class or volunteering an answer or doing a presentation, I just kind of had to force it until it became more natural.
Mm. And so, what has been, I guess, if you had to say like the hardest thing about being an athletic trainer?
That's a tough question. Um, so far, it's just been a confidence thing. So I have the knowledge. I pass my boards. I have the stamp of approval from professors, but just kind of going into it like confidently, especially when you're by yourself. So like being an outreach athletic trainer, yes, I have coworkers at other schools and I have like my manager who oversees all of us, but I'm by myself. So if somebody gets hurt, I have to, go from A to B to C to D, make sure everything gets set and done, make sure the kid's okay. So just that confidence level, which it'll come with reps, and I firmly believe that, but definitely confidence. And then you have to be so flexible with things because I could go into a work day and this is what we're going to do and this is what I'm planning to do and this is what I'm planning to happen, and that's not what's going to happen at all. So just being more adaptable and the confidence portion.
And so, what's the most rewarding thing, do you think?
Definitely building relationships with the kids and the athletes, coaches. In the high school setting, I get to be a mentor more than anything. So a lot of the kids, even though they may not have big injuries or anything like that, just that mentorship where a kid can come up to me and say, this is what's going on in my life. I don't really need help with like an injury, but can I just talk to you about, a grade or a relationship or stuff like that, where I get to be that mentor and help mold. And then also, obviously, bringing people back from injuries is always the greatest thing in the world, to see them succeed and do what they want to do.
Okay, well, thanks, Jasmine. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us, and I'm sure that you're willing to act as sort of a sounding board if we do have any students interested that we can send your way to to at least briefly speak with further.
No, yeah, definitely. Anybody has any questions, wants to talk to me about Bridgewater, athletic training, Happy to help.
All right. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.